Welcome to Yury Experience, and today I want to talk to you about black and white world. In my personal opinion, the world as a whole tries to divide itself in black and white, good and bad, smart and dumb, evil and holy. This whole one group and the other group, black and white, this whole black and white world. And by the way, I'm not talking about races, just about concept. And basically that's what I want to discuss today. Is the world really black and white? And as you probably assume from my previous videos, I don't think so. I think that there is a lot of gray zones in our world. Especially when we go from global scale, from big scale, we go smaller, smaller and smaller, especially in interpersonal relationships. It's more difficult than just black and white. But let us discuss it. Obviously, prior to us talking about that, I have to tell you that this is Yury Experience, and here I talk about my various experiences, about different topics and stuff like that. I do 2 videos per week. I personally enjoy both of them. If you will enjoy this video, please drop a like. You can also subscribe to the channel, but besides that, let's go. For the sake of the argument, let's us always assume that white is good and black is bad. Again, I don't want to even go into the debate about races. I will talk about races in an independent video, but this video does nothing to do with races. White, European, Caucasian, whatnot, or black, or African, or black American, or whatnot. This video doesn't have anything to do with that. Throughout our history, big part of humanity always associated white with good, with holy. And that's what we will do in this video too. I assume it has something to do with day and night, and during the day you see a lot of stuff, during the night you don't see anything, or you can't see some stuff which can be dangerous, which is why devil hides in the darkness. So that is why black is normally assumed to be bad, or evil or whatnot. And as I told you already, in my personal opinion, on global scale, humanity, society, country, most of these organizations, social groups try to divide the world in black and white. We versus them, good versus bad, racist versus some human, nice people, tolerant people, woke people if you want. And that is where I personally try to ask the question, and that's the question that I ask myself a lot. Where is the border? Where does white start and where does it end? And where does black start and where does it end? In my personal opinion, that there's no border. There's no one clear line. Like up until there you are white and up after there you are black. No line, no line, not like that and that. That's where the word spectrum comes to my mind and where gray zone comes to my mind. In my personal opinion, the world can always be separated in spectrum of ideas, spectrum of people, spectrum of groups. And there we have some white idea, and then it goes darker, 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 and after 50 shades of gray, it goes into black. So white, a lot of shades of gray, or if you want, a lot of shades of white, and afterwards a lot of shades of black. But there is no one black and one white. Again, it is my personal opinion. But to be honest with you, it is complicated to think in a spectrum way. It is complicated to think that is the whitest and then a little bit less white, less white, less white, less white. I don't think that for a lot of people, for everyday life, it is a comfortable way of thinking. That is, by the way, why most of us do have black and white world. Either the decision is good or it is bad, nothing in between. In order to become fairer to the world, in my personal opinion, the world shouldn't be divided in 2 categories, black and white, but in 3. Yes, it's still not a spectrum, it's still not how life really is, but that is easier for us to comprehend again, especially for everyday life when we need to make decisions quickly. And it is not difficult to understand what groups do I mean this time. White, gray and black. So in addition to this definitely good and definitely bad, we add a gray zone. questionably good or bad. Let us make an example. When we are thinking about a lot of different situations in our everyday life or decisions or whatnot, or news maybe, we are thinking about a lot of them in terms of legality and morality. So how legal it is and how ethical it is. Interesting point here, not always these conditions, if you want to call it like that, overlap. But if something is legal and is ethically good, then it is definitely right. So, for example, saving children just by, I don't know, paying money. It is legal and it is ethically good, at least in most cases. On the other hand, when we have something that is not legal and not ethical, then we have a definitely black situation. For example, overall killing people. It's not ethically good and it's not legally good. Again, in most cases, there are like a lot of exceptions to that rule too, but overall. But what if something is ethically okay or good or right, but not legally right? Or vice versa. What if something is legally right, but ethically it's not okay? How do we think, where do we put it? In my personal opinion, we put it in the gray zone. An example here would be sexual relationship between 19 and 17-year-olds, if I'm not mistaken. Again, if I'm not mistaken, it is illegal to have that kind of sexual relationship. So one person is 19, the other person is 17. But in terms of ethical rules, for most of us, this 2 years difference is not really like strange thing to have. So if person is 19, other person is 17, they're like almost same in terms of in which social group would we put them. But legally it is wrong, it is illegal. So that is why in that case, that is a gray situation. It's not really right situation because that is illegal, but it is also not really wrong situation because it's ethically not really wrong. And when this situation occurs, a lot of people separate themselves in different camps, different groups, and try to make their own decisions for themselves. Do they find this situation white or do they find this situation black? However, is it always so easy to understand to which group does this particular situation belong? In my personal opinion, no. The reason for it is the fact that not all of us can understand that we don't have objective point of view. We assume we are objective, we have a lot of gathered opinions, but we still consider the world through our whole lens of understanding, through our own experience, which is why most of us, if not all of us, are always subjective in their understanding of the world. And on the subjective level, on your personal level, you can almost always decide whether the situation is black or whether the situation is white or whether the situation is gray and you need to gather more experience and knowledge in order to understand whether it is white or black. But on the overall level, on the whole like society level, it is almost impossible. There almost always will be groups who will tell you, no, your opinion is wrong. No, this situation is not white, it is actually black. Or this situation is actually not gray, there's nothing to debate about, it's definitely black. But coming back to our personal level, as I mentioned, on subjective level, we can almost always decide to which category we put the current situation. And that's why we create our opinions, in order to actually think quicker. We see situation, we have our opinions prepared for that situation, and then we put the situation straight ahead in one of the three categories. Let's be honest, a hell lot of people completely forget about gray category, but technically, theoretically, people do put stuff in three categories. Overall, this whole creation of opinions is targeted towards reducing the amount of situations that could come in gray zone and making white and black zones bigger. So when you see the situation, you don't need to think. Gray zone requires thinking, requires education or whatnot. White and black, no, you decided, okay, this is good, this is bad, that's all. That is why you create opinions, that is why I create opinions, that is why humanity creates opinions. So we don't have gray zones. But Only because you created a lot of opinions about different topics, or I created them, or you share my opinions or whatnot, it doesn't mean the gray zone disappears. At least in my personal opinion. A gray zone exists always in each and every question, in my personal opinion again. Only because of the context, because of our opinions, because of societal opinion, we reduce that context to one situation maybe. But the situation still can exist. And if you decide that the whole world is black and white because you created your opinions that help you to divide that world in black and white, if you think like that and you don't allow yourself thinking that gray zone exists, that's how you become narrow-minded. That's how you can start following really bad ideas, or really good ideas maybe, but which will become bad ideas. Because there's always actually a possibility that something which is white can become black, or can become gray or black, depending on societal opinion, or depending on your personal opinion. Maybe your opinion changed and you thought that something is white, but now you understand, no, it's black. But in order to understand that, in order to develop yourself, in order to think, basically, you need to be wide-minded, so no, not narrow-minded. You need to be prepared that your opinion may be wrong, or maybe your opinion will not allow you to separate the whole world in black and white. You will still have a lot of gray zone. And in my personal opinion, that's not the worst thing to have. Again, it depends on the situation, on the context, but overall, remaining an open thinker, remaining a person who can learn and who can change opinions and their view on the world, is extremely important. That's basically my idea of black and white world. That is my idea how a lot of people actually view the world, at least what I get in terms of information and experience from other people. And depending on the context, I am actually a person who doesn't have a lot of gray place in there. I have more white and black. But I do try to not forget that I can be mistaken. My opinion can be wrong, and what I consider white can be black. Example here, I ate meat my whole freaking life, but over the time, over the last 2-3 years, I understood that meat is bad for whatever reasons. There are a couple, I made a video about that, you can watch that, how to discuss stuff with vegetarians, and I understood I need to reduce my meat consumption. I will not completely go away from there, but that's something that I consider to be completely white, no questions. But it's gray, or maybe black, depends on meat what we are talking about. But overall, that's pretty much it. If you have your own opinion, please share it. You can also subscribe, you can also drop the like button, you can also do something else. You are a free person. Enjoy your weekend, yes, and I see you on Monday.